Welcome back, True Seeker. Last night, February 19th, on the eve of Kurt Cobain's birthday anniversary, they're saying rapper Lil Poppa shot himself after being involved in a car accident. If you missed the first video I did on the death of Lil Poppa, definitely check that out. But what I want to show you here is the parallels between Lil Poppa supposedly dying February 18th by a self-inflicted gunshot wound, and how on that same day, a Seattle police officer came out and said that Kurt Cobain did not shoot himself. The evidence points to a homicide. You learn gematria, the parallels really start to add up. This week has been full of 97 and death. Remember, the Vatican just turned 97 years old. And we talked about how Jesse Jackson was hospitalized on the Superior General's birthday. That's the leader of the Jesuit order who serves the Pope at the Vatican. But yes, Jesse Jackson died 97 days after being hospitalized on the Superior General's birthday. And keep in mind, Martin Luther King Jr. would also be 97 years old right now. And in gematria, Martin Luther King equals 97. This matters because the rapper Lil Poppa died one day after Jesse Jackson, and he's from Jacksonville, but he died in Georgia, which is MLK's home state. And where Kurt Cobain once died in King County, Seattle has been, or I should say King County, where Seattle is, has been renamed after Martin Luther King Jr. And don't forget, Martin Luther King Jr. renamed himself after Martin Luther, the Protestant Reformation leader, who died in history on February 18th, the same day Lil Poppa was killed. But yes, look at the gematria of Kurt Cobain's full name. Kurt Donald Cobain, 97. The rapper's birth name is Janarius Michael Wheeler, which equates to 97. And it's a very interesting spelling of his middle name, Michael. I've never seen Michael spelled that way, but it's spelled in a way that equates to 97. His rap name, Lil Poppa, also equates to 97. And it might remind you of Big Poppa, Notorious B.I.G., who was murdered in 97. Of course, death also equates to 97. And then for more parallels, the rapper's dead in Georgia. Kurt Cobain died in Seattle. Georgia has the 44 value, as does Seattle, as does shooting, as does execution. Lil Poppa's death anniversary is now 46 days before Kurt Cobain's death anniversary. You can see execution equates to 44 and 46. Again, if you're new here, gematria is the practice of coding numbers into words. There are 4 simple ciphers, all based on the alphabetic order. The most simple cipher is A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, up to Z is 26. There's also the reverse alphabetic order, just going Z is 1 back to A is 26, and both orders with numerology applied. In light of their death being 46 days apart, don't forget that Genesis 46 is about sacrifice, and this number shows up in suspicious deaths all the time. With regards to all the 44, don't forget that Kurt Cobain died 44 days after his birthday, and his surname Cobain also equates to 44. If you're new here, he died in 94. Seattle, Washington equals 94. He died 94 days after Bill and Melinda Gates got married, and Bill Gates became the big celebrity in Seattle after Kurt Cobain died. Seattle is also the 206 area code. Cobain died 206 days before Bill Gates' birthday. There's a lot more to all of this. But yeah, just keeping it simple for now about the parallels between these two men and why these things happen at the same time. Don't forget, in the case of the rapper, he signed to Yo Gotti, who is 44 years old right now. And also noteworthy, Janarius Wheeler, if you drop his middle name, is 95. It goes with Kurt Cobain being killed on the 95th day of the year. And remember this parallel with Martin Luther. He's dead on the anniversary of Martin Luther's death. Martin Luther wrote the 95 Theses. Martin Luther King Jr. was killed on April 4th, 4-4, but in 1968, a leap year, thus he was killed on the 95th day of the year. MLK killed on the 95th day. Martin Luther wrote the 95 Theses. Kurt Cobain dead in King County, now named after MLK on the 95th day of the year. Furthermore, this recent death that they're now saying is a self-deletion. It happened on 66 date numerology. Kurt Cobain equates to 66, as does homicide. On that day, a cop came out and said it was a homicide. Notice how they draw these parallels in the year 26. It's 2026. Cobain, also 26. And as for the cop who's the spokesperson for the dead rapper who's telling the story that he shot himself, remember, you guys, the Police, the band, did the song Murder by Numbers, where killing is as simple as ABC is 1, 2, 3. It's been my theory for a long time that it's the police who are involved in the cover-up of how these people really die. And in some cases, it might be the police. They might literally have hit squad in some of these cities that are actually doing the killings. If you can't accept that, it's probably because you live under a rock. Get to know some of these police officers. They're not very good people. But look at the cop's name, Bruce Headley, 54 like Jesuit order. Hattville, where this happened, 45. Kurt Cobain died on April 5th. The majority of the world writes that date 5-4. In the U.S., we write it 4-5. So the location and the officer in charge, their names correspond with the anniversary of the date that Cobain died. And for real, I don't know, Seattle is big-time Jesuit town. I mean, this whole country is big-time Jesuit. The Jesuits are essentially responsible for this nation. But look how perfect it is. And then Hattville also has the 153, also like Jesuit order. Don't forget when RFK Jr. filed his paperwork to run for president on April 5th, 2023. I told you that day there were going to be all kinds of assassinations on the campaign trail. And there were, because his dad died in a location that equals 45 and 54, as did his uncle, JFK and RFK, with the Jesuit fingerprints all over both rituals. But yeah, look at this, you guys. February 18th, the day the rapper dies, the anniversary of the Martin Luther's death. Don't forget that was in the year 46. And yeah, if you missed my work on the death of Lil Poppa, definitely check it out. If you don't know my older work on Cobain, there's so much more to both of these stories, but I really just wanted to focus. Thank you, Jonathan, for the tip. Yeah, just this poor Lil Poppa guy. He had all the typical numbers encoded. He's dead at age 25, if you didn't know. Getting all those 97s we talked about, 25th prime. Yeah, perfectly synced with the 97-year-old Vatican. And he died 201 days after his latest album came out. And he just put out his latest single on Friday, did this rapper, called Out of Town Bay, only to die days later on the 49th day of the year, 157 days after the Pope's birthday. And as I've said over and over, all roads lead to Rome. You look at the repetitious patterns in these deaths, they all point back to the Vatican and the Jesuits. And keep in mind, like in the case of Kurt Cobain, Seattle rock star, so is Lane Staley. Lane Staley dies years later on the same day as Kurt Cobain. And I forget, there was another Seattle musician who died recently on April 5th as well. Not nearly as famous as Kurt Cobain or Lane Staley, but well known on the music scene, especially in the Seattle area. He dies on the same day. Again, it gets tired, you guys. But yeah, this Murder by Numbers thing. Read the lyrics to Murder by Numbers by the Police, and also read the lyrics to Gematria, the Killing Name, by Slipknot. You know, Lil Poppa has the 38 all over it. Gematria equals 38 like killing. In this case, like rapper like Florida, where he's from. But yeah, the only two members of Slipknot to die so far both died in 38 rituals, including one at age 38. And don't forget, Slipknot equals 46 like sacrifice. Both of their deaths have 38 and 46 encoded. So repetitious, these patterns. I can't tell you how repetitious it all is. We'll leave it there for now.